at Amazon during Alexa. Um, and so I've been really fortunate in my career here. So I've seen a lot of things and I learned a lot of things, and hopefully I can drop these things to you guys as well too. So a lot of times people don't know what to do with their career. This is especially going on now is you're laid off in a field that's impacted and you're trying to find a new career field. How do you do it? What do you do? How do you apply? So we could help you. I can help you out doing the steps with Jobtrees. So basically what you want to do is learn how to job search efficiently because right now everybody's going to be looking for a job, and also listen to tips that I have to give as well too, because it's a long process here. Okay, so look at this. I'm not going to read each thing, but just to show you this, do you see where it says apply? Apply is at the bottom of the list. So normally when you're in a job search, you apply first. And you're like, oh, I'm going to apply. But what you need to do is you need to explore to see what type of role. You need to network. I can't tell you how important it is to network because most of you on the call are people that I network with. So I appreciate you joining. So networking is very important. Also studying the role requirements, the work culture, personal prep. I can't tell you how many times when I would interview people for Amazon, they had no clue what we did. They had no clue how to research. This is the internet age. Everything is on the internet you need to know. And also, how do you apply for a job? Do you do that for networking and also prepping for the interview? Learn the interview questions, research, and negotiation. Sometimes you can negotiate and sometimes you can't. So these are really important to go through these steps before you can even apply. So, what is your career? What do you want to do? You know, um, don't do because, well, my dad said I would be good in this. I want to be a singer or whatever, or I want to be an astronaut. I mean, what can you do? There are realistic things you could do. How do you make it happen? How do you get there? This is where the tool can help because it's basically going to show you the roles that you're interested in. So there's like a couple things here where you can, oops, skip the slide, where you can look at roles, you can type in your skills, you can search for different type of roles. And what this will do is it will show you how, once you get to these roles, it will show you what you need to get to that role. Sometimes you might need an additional college class. Sometimes you might need an additional training or certification. But as you know in advance, the type of roles that you're interested in and the path to get there, it can help you interview better. And it can help you once you apply. And we'll talk about the ATS later, how you could be more successful in applying. Because I'm going to be honest, I was a recruiter for many years. I would get so many applicants, especially when working on software engineers. You'd get people who say, I have Java, and more like they drank Java coffee. That's the only Java experience they had. So your resume is only going to be looked at 5 to 10 seconds by a recruiter. And don't assume it's going to the hiring manager who might know that field. Most likely, your resume is going to somebody in a neutral field that's not an expert in the job you're applying to. Okay. So let's go on and talk a little bit more about networking. This is my favorite part. 85% of the jobs are networking. Well, some of you might go, I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends. All I know are people in my neighborhood. So you need to look back, go through your alumni, go through everybody to try to see who you can network with. But let's suppose you say, oh, I'm interested in finance. So you're going to network all these financial fields, people. And then you realize, I'm not interested in finance anymore. So once you decide what you want to do, then you go through and start networking. And a lot of ways you can do that is like think of people you know. Think of, as you've done sports, think of all the people you played sports with. Think of all the parents. Think of all the neighbors. Think about when you go to a wedding. The only time I'm not allowed to network, and I've been doing this for 25 years, is I'm not allowed to network at funerals. Okay. So that was one thing my wife said I had to draw the line in here. So, but everything else is open because you're talking to people and you're selling yourself. Hey, what do you do? Oh, really? Hey, can I connect to you on LinkedIn or or can I share you my GitHub page or something like that? So there's a lot of ways you can network into building up. The other useful way I think too is like, oh, I graduated from San Jose State. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm interested in people in HR. So I'm going to type in San Jose State University, people who graduated, and then people who have an HR degree. So I can network with those type of people. So there's a lot of ways to go about networking because once again, you are selling yourself. So the minute you get into networking, it works. And I'm going to tell you, that's how I got, except my last job where they reached out to me from Pure Storage. But through all of my jobs that I got, Yahoo was after I developed a relationship, you know, kept on networking with the people. They got me in there twice. I worked there twice. Amazon is because I had a relationship with a manager and brought me over. And then I worked at a startup, and once again, it was a referral. So these things help. So networking, make a good impression. Also, while you're at your company, before you leave or whatever, have people write you a recommendation too, because then that shows up. And the other thing, I'm just going to tell you a little tip on LinkedIn. The more people you're connected to, the more times you're going to show up on searches. So anytime you meet somebody, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Connect to them because it doesn't hurt. Okay. And here's some Jobtrees has some networking sites you can look at and know the requirements. I can't tell you enough. Like, let's be realistic. Apply to jobs that you think you can get, not because I can learn it. I can learn it. Learn the requirements because to see, do you need extra training? Do you need this? Do you need that? You know, there's different training sites because a lot of times people don't know the requirements and they don't have their resume set up right because they just assume, well, if I did that, they know I did that. Don't assume because once again, your resume's first view by is going to be somebody that's not an expert in the field you're applying to. Work culture, research the company, see what's passionate. Do you want to be in a large company? Do you want to be in a small company? Or you just want to get in there? So, like you need to get into your job or whatever. So you want to research the company and you might find some things that you don't like. Say, okay, this will help you combat when you start working. Okay, I need to prepare for this and that. So this way you're not caught on guard. Okay. Personal prep, my favorite. All right. So this is what I'm passionate about. Let's talk about the ATS. Okay. So what the ATS does is it's a system that all companies use for their resume system. So when you're applying to a job, you need to make sure you have the buzzwords that meet the job description on it. Because what will happen is, and I'll tell you this, as a recruiter, one of the first things we do is we search our ATS to find a candidate. So this might be a candidate. I just see Sarah on the top of the screen here. Sarah that applied for a job, and then it wasn't a fit, but 6 months down the road, it might be a fit for another job because it's easier to find applicants in your ATS because that knows the person is interested in your company. And that way you have their contact information. So a recruiter is going to go to low-hanging fruit first. So make sure you know about the algorithm with the ATS. Tailor your resume to specific job description. Cover letters, big freaking controversy. My opinion as a recruiter, the only time you should send a cover letter is it's a referral. Okay. like say, oh, I'm just seeing here, I see Joshua saying, I'm passing my resume to Josh. And Josh knows Bob, who's the hiring manager. That would be appropriate to send a cover letter because you know the cover letter is going to get to the first person. But when you're applying through an ATS, when you're applying online, they're not going to read the cover letter. That cover letter isn't going to go to it. So know when to write a cover letter. Some people say cover letters are dead. I'm saying you need to be specific about who you're sending it to. Okay. And resumes. In this day and age, there's no excuse to not being able to get help on the resumes. There's so many sources where you can have your resume completed and tailored if you can't do it self. So here, interesting, applying. Number six. Everybody see my big fat fingers here? 6 times. That means you had to do all these other steps because once again, the person that reviews the resume first is not the expert of the job. So they're only going to look at it 10 to 15 seconds to see whether or not they're going to peruse on. And especially now with layoffs with Amazon, Meta, Twitter, the job market's going to be flooded. So you need to make sure that your resume catches their eye, that you've done all the steps. So that way they'll go past the 15 seconds. Now you're ready to reply. Make this more fulfilling for you. Focus the role, straighten your network, know and meet the job requirements. Okay. Different resumes. Please know the different resumes. And over here, I'm going to tell you a story. What at Amazon, sometimes I would look at a candidate that has applied to 200 jobs. I'm not lying. 200 jobs because what they do is they just click here everywhere, you know, and you, and then what it is you see that name, Brenda Starr or whatever, you're going to go, oh, there's good old Brenda again. I'm not going to look at it. So you got to be careful when you're applying, not to apply to everything because it's going to get old and you're going to be discounted. Clean up your social media pages, especially in this time and age. And recruiters and sourcers and they're stalkers. They're going to stalk your social media to see whether or not your social media is aligned with the company's culture. So make sure you do that. Also, too, we have a thing on Jobtrees here where you can keep track of your applications and deadlines. This is a really hard time when you're looking for a job. So you need something to be positive about. So this helps you keep organized so that you can learn how to, learn like, oh, I applied here. Because when you're looking for work, is you're not working, this should be your full-time job. So keep organized. It'll make you feel better. Okay. Application tracking tool. That's what I was just talking about. It's free, ready to look, you know, different job boards to take out, interview. All right. Oh my gosh. So much to go here. Have a personality, be upbeat. Don't feel like this isn't 2021 when people were hiring left and right here. Be enthusiastic, but don't also overdo it to like, I'll take anything to do, to do this job. So have a good attitude when you're doing this. I also always recommend when you're doing a phone interview, have a glass of water next to you so you don't have a coughing fit. Have your resume in front of you so that way you can do it. And also, too, I'm going to tell you a story. What you want to do when you're interviewing is you want to have a beginning, middle, and an end. So you want to talk about things that why you're a good fit, but you want to try to talk about something you're most proud of, something that you've done in your job or your education, saying, this is what I'm most proud of. I'm proud because I did this, or you can phrase it under a different way. You can phrase it as, I had a really tight deadline and I was able to do that. Or another way to phrase it is you could say like, nobody believed in this project, but I believed and carried it through. So what you want to do is you also want to back it up with metrics too. So you want to, when you're talking about yourself, you want to say a story about what you did, something you're proud about, or something that you had to do under a tight deadline, or something that you believed in. And then you want to carry up with metrics. Like you want to say, oh, hey, and because of this we were able to do this and this made it easier, blah blah blah. So you want, a beginning kind of laying out the story, the middle is how you did something that was difficult under a tight deadline or people were against, and three, how the metrics help. Okay. And have your resume job, pressed it too fast, have your resume and job description in front. Research the company. I can't tell you because I researched when I worked for Alexa at Amazon. Some people goes, oh, I'm not familiar with it. So research it. Even if it's something like, well, of course, I don't deal with databases, but I know that your database company is robust or whatever. So people have a little bit of understanding of it, because it is going to get competitive. Practice, practice, practice. Practice with yourself, practice with a neighbor, your friend, your parents, your brother, your wife, your spouse, your sister, your kids. Practice because you don't because it's so easy being an armchair quarterback. I've seen this so many times where like you're watching a game show or at a football game and go, why did they do it that way? So when you're interviewing, and especially as you're rusty, practice, practice, practice. So you're comfortable talking about yourself. Okay. Can't behoove that enough. Negotiate. All right. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Some of these people that have been laid off from Meta and Twitter, they're going to have a big surprise because they paid about 20 to 30% more than any company did. When I was at Yahoo and Amazon, hands down, Facebook would win all the time. Twitter would win all the time in most cases because they were throwing money at it. Now that the market has changed, there is going to be difference in the market. And sometimes you won't have room to negotiate. Sometimes you can negotiate. Like I was helping a private company recently, consulting with them. And the person wanted a little bit more money. And they said, okay. And it worked out to be like $200 more a week or something like that, and they said we could do that, so figure out how much it is, and then you can negotiate maybe a small percentage. But if you don't have the experience, just take it because and do a good job, because at this point it's better to be working than not. Okay, so know when to negotiate. But as you also doing a unique field where there's not that many people, then you can afford to negotiate. So it's really important not to shoot yourself in the foot, not to be in over, in not to under negotiate or over negotiate. Be aware of marketplace and your own experience. Um, we offer a free evaluator tool, salaries and benefits. So kind of know that a little bit, because some people go, oh, I don't know, oh, I'm lost, or what do I do? How much do I negotiate? Well, I think I'm better than that. And here's another thing I want to talk about is I can't tell you how many times people came across, I'm a senior person. Well, you're not. That's why, believe it or not, in my first screens with the candidates, I never discussed price. I learned the hard way, because why am I going to discuss price? Price is determined after the person interviews, because they need to see what level that person's at. Okay. So don't feel lost. Need coaching? We have coaching tools. Reach out to me, recalibrate. It's okay to go back to my circle. So, it's, choose your career by taking control of it and optimizing your job search. Okay. And as Walt Disney say, all our dreams can come true as we have the courage to pursue them. All right. So everybody, you got this a little bit, that you're able to you're able to learn from this. You're able to find the career you want. It's just doing research and just doing the steps and practice again. Now, I see we have a little bit of time. Does anybody want to ask a question?
Hey, Sean, this is Diane here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Diane.
Hi. I missed your first half. Sorry, I was wrangling my dog. So, as you know, I've been, looking for a role now for a few months. Just kind of curious your thoughts, and maybe you covered it, so apologies if it's redundant. Your thoughts on, like, I've seen a few job openings on things like LinkedIn where they actually show who the recruiter is for that role. I guess kind of what is like protocol or any rules around like actually reaching out to the recruiter directly along with applying and sending them a note like, hey, I saw you're recruiting for this role, would love to chat. Just kind of curious as a former recruiter, how do recruiters
I think
respond to people reaching out directly to them?
because I was always an optimist, Diane. Maybe I'm still am, because I always believe that when somebody would reach out to me, is it was relevant, I was sure as hell jump on top of it. So a lot of times to send out a message saying, hi, this is Diane. I applied for your job. I'm really interested in it too. Okay. So, and also too, like in your field, what you're looking for to maybe find the type of people that are doing the type of job and then
Mm-hmm.
connecting to them on LinkedIn. Say, hi, my name
Right.
is
Okay.
Diane. And pardon?
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Sorry. I'm in the car, so it might be a little spotty.
No problem. Just don't hit anybody while you're driving. Okay. Um,
Hold it.
um, so, yeah, so that's the thing, is also finding people the job that you're interested in doing and connecting to them, because at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, everybody wants to help people, right? Everybody wants
Right.
to try to help people and to grow. Say, hey, I'm looking to grow network. Do you mind, even setting up a time to do that? So those are good ideas too, and also go through your network to see like, oh, hey, I'm applying at XYZ. Do I know anybody who works there? Oh, they're connected to Sean Cartwright. Hey, Sean, it's Diane. Do you know Andrew who works at X, Y, and Z? Yes, I do. Then, say, hey, can you reach out to Andrew and say, hey, Andrew, and then I would reach out to Andrew. Hey, Andrew, I know this person, Diane, who's interested in the field. Would you be able to help her out?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sean. And one more question for you. I guess
Of
just if
course,
you don't
Diane.
get moved forward, if you don't get moved forward in like any of the interview process or you get pretty far, I guess like how willing or how responsive are recruiters if you ask them like, can I get any feedback as to, maybe why I wasn't a great fit or why I didn't get moved on to the next round?
Okay.
I would say in my experience, it's been a little hit or miss. So again, just kind of looking for best practice there, just like, to improve upon each interview.
That's actually an excellent question. And I'll tell you, at Amazon, and once again, I keep on going at Amazon, I was there for 8 years, we were never allowed to give, by law, most companies aren't allowed to give any feedback.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Okay. Now that's
Yeah,
good to
so
know.
you're going to get it very generic, saying, Diane, we really had a great time, blah, blah, blah. We just feel like it's not a fit for us at this time. Please continue to check our website. Love and kisses, so a lot of times they're not going to give you stuff, but you could kind of ask like, as you develop a rapport with the recruiter, they can say, hey, do you think I'm applying to the right roles, or whatever. But in this legalese age, they're not allowed to give specific feedback.
Really interesting. I didn't know that. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so that's why you want to try to make friends with people, with the referral process, that type of thing in networking. Because like I said, as the slide said earlier, 85% is done by networking.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very insightful. I think one of the things like I'm curious about is on this same topic, but like reaching out after maybe like final emails, waiting maybe a week or two to follow up. What is sort of like the process of just like checking in where you are in that consideration process?
So is you have a good recruiter. Um, like normally the recruiter is going to say the process. So you're saying after you interviewed, what do you do? So after the final interview, they'll say, okay, here's the steps. We'll be doing that. And what you should do great and always send an email. I did. And even though go, hey, thank you, Sean. I enjoyed talking to Bob and Diane. I had a great experience. I'm very interested in the job. And then they'll get back. Now, I'll tell you why things are delayed. This should make you guys feel a little bit better. I'll give you the inside trick. Hiring managers, their biggest complaints is we need to fill the role. We're so busy. If we don't fill this role, the end of the world will happen as we know it. People will cease to exist because we haven't feed our role. Every company I worked at, Yahoo, Amazon, and I was at Pure Storage, every time, in corporate for 14 years, as this role isn't filled, the end of the world will happen. And I am so busy. Well, these hiring managers are too busy to interview. So a lot of times why there's a delay for your response to see how you did an interview is a couple things. They're waiting, believe it or not, for the hiring manager to put feedback in the system or the person who interviewed because they're so busy. And I'm kidding you. There's actually people that their job is to police these people saying, hey, Bob, you interviewed so-and-so 4 days ago. Can you put your feedback in? So they're putting the feedback in. So that's the delay too. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't get the job. The other time, and this is, I'm going to be a little cruel here because unfortunately the world is cruel sometimes. They're waiting. They'll have like 3 candidates that they like, and then they're going to stack rank them. And they're waiting to see whether or not that candidate accepts the job or not. And you might be their second choice or third choice. But you know what? Who cares? A lot of people are second and third choices and they get into the company. Or the third thing is like, do you have this rec approved? Oh, I don't. Oh, then you need to get it approved before an offer can be extended. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons why a job could be a response to an interview could be delayed. And it's not because you didn't get the job. You still might have got the job, but there might have been other things. So that's why it's kind of nice to send a friendly reminder saying, hey, I'm interested. But also, too, what you don't want to do, you don't want to stalk like because in COVID I used to call on the phone or whatever. So you don't want to be like, hey, I have your number. Hey, did I get the job? Hey, I'm real interested, or hey, I emailed you yesterday. I haven't heard anything back. So you want to email and then a couple days later, say, hey, just wanted to make sure it didn't go into spam, but you don't want to overly do it. You want to show interest, but you also don't want to be like, they're going to have to file a restraining, something too. But also remember what I just said. There could be a lot of reasons why you're getting the delay and not to panic. Any other questions? Any other topics you guys would like to talk before we end this discussion today? And once again, all of you, because it's a short class, please reach out to me on the side. I'll be happy to help you do that. Use the Jobtree sites as well. Keep organized, keep patient, and keep upbeat too. And practice. One of the things I have to say, the big thing is prepare yourself before you apply for a job. Go through the steps because once again, you're only going to have one shot. So make sure you're giving it the best shot. So have different resumes, networking. Can't say it enough. Also, prep yourself when you're interviewing because people don't do a good job with that. And then know when to negotiate, know how to be, and also too, a lot of times I've seen people whose egos are really bad. They didn't get the job, and they'll say, "Well, Sean, you didn't prepare me. You didn't do this, and I wouldn't work for Amazon." Da 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 da. Da. Well, those notes go into the ATS, my friend. So you want to end it on a positive thing because life changes at a very fast pace. You might have not been a fit for the job you interviewed, but you'll be a fit for another thing. When I was working at Yahoo, we would used to have 4 or 5 teams interview at once. And sometimes a person would get rejected and then a month later hired by another team. You just don't know. So you always want to end on a good note because you want to be considered for a future role too. So those are the tips that I have right now. So remember, prep before you apply, several resumes, networking, and prep for your interviews, and always end it on a good note. Any other questions? Oh, you're welcome, Diane. Thank you. Any other questions, comments in chat or anything? And we'll go ahead and send you this recording as well, too.